When a suitcase started ticking, this K-9's split-second action halted the entire airport. The VIP terminal at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport hummed with pre-dawn activity as Sarah Collins watched her partner's ears suddenly prick forward. 6 years of working together had taught her to read Max's body language like a book, and right now, every muscle in the Belgian Malinois' sleek frame screamed alert. "What is it, boy?" she whispered, her hand instinctively moving to the radio at her shoulder. Max's nose twitched, his attention laser-focused on a navy blue diplomatic suitcase moving along the private screening belt. The dog's usual methodical sweep of the area had transformed into something else entirely. This wasn't his standard response to drugs or explosives. Sarah recognized this particular behavior. 8 months ago, Max had acted the same way when they discovered a sophisticated microchip smuggling operation. That case had put them on the FBI's radar, but this felt different, bigger. The suitcase bore the diplomatic seal of Kazakhstan, its official tags marking it for a 6 a.m. flight to Vienna. As Max circled the bag, his movements became more insistent, his training warring with his urgency to communicate what he'd found. "Officer Collins." A sharp voice cut through the terminal's ambient noise. "That bag has diplomatic immunity. You need to clear it immediately." Sarah turned to face a tall man in an expensive suit, his diplomatic credentials hanging around his neck. Behind him stood another man, airport security by his uniform, shifting nervously from foot to foot. "With all due respect, sir," Sarah kept her voice steady, professional, "my K-9 partner has indicated this bag requires additional screening." The diplomat's face hardened. "This is unacceptable. You are violating international law." Max growled softly, unusual for him during an inspection. Sarah's hand moved to her weapon, not drawing it, but ready. Years of experience had taught her that Max's instincts were rarely wrong, and right now every one of them was firing. "Sir, I'm going to need you to step back." She gestured to her fellow officers. "Secure the area, now." The diplomat's face flushed red. "Do you have any idea what you're doing? This will cause an international incident." Sarah watched as Max's behavior shifted again. He wasn't just alerting now. He was actively trying to prevent anyone from approaching the bag. This was the same protective stance he'd taken during the Atlanta Federal Building bomb threat last year. The air crackled with tension as more security personnel arrived. Sarah caught a quick exchange of glances between the diplomat and the nervous security officer. Too quick, too meaningful to be innocent. "Call it in," she ordered one of her colleagues, "and get me TSA supervisors down here. Something's not right." The next 40 minutes moved like a carefully choreographed dance of protocols and escalating security measures. As Sarah maintained control of the scene, she noticed the diplomat making a series of hushed phone calls, his agitation growing with each one. When the TSA's advanced screening team finally arrived, their equipment detected something the regular scanners had missed: a hidden compartment, carefully shielded from standard security measures. "Ma'am," one of the technicians called her over, his face pale. "You need to see this." Inside the compartment, nestled in custom-fitted foam, sat a device unlike anything Sarah had ever seen. It hummed with an almost imperceptible vibration, the sound Max must have detected. Its surface was an intricate maze of quantum processors and cooling systems, all miniaturized into something that could fit in a diplomatic suitcase. "What are we looking at?" Sarah asked, though the pit in her stomach told her this was way above her pay grade. "Above my clearance level," the technician whispered, "but I've seen theoretical designs for quantum decryption devices. This looks like someone built one." The diplomat had gone eerily quiet, his earlier bluster replaced by rigid tension. The nervous security officer had disappeared completely. Security cameras would later show him slipping out a service entrance during the commotion. Sarah's radio crackled. "Collins, we've got company. FBI and CIA teams inbound." Max pressed against her leg, his body still alert but seeking contact, their shared signal that danger wasn't past. Sarah reached down, scratching behind his ears, a gesture that looked like simple affection, but was their private confirmation. "Stay ready, partner." "Good boy," she murmured, watching as black government vehicles began arriving outside the terminal. "I think we just stumbled onto something big." The morning sun was just beginning to paint the Atlanta skyline in shades of pink and gold, but Sarah's instincts told her this day was far from over. As federal agents poured into the terminal, she noted how Max's attention kept darting between the device and specific agents, almost as if he was putting pieces together faster than the humans around him. She'd learned long ago to trust those instincts. Whatever they'd discovered here, it was just the tip of something much larger. Sarah felt the weight of her badge against her chest and Max's solid presence at her side. Together, they'd proven time and again that they were Atlanta's most effective K-9 team. But as she watched the federal agents approaching, their faces grim with recognition at what sat in that diplomatic suitcase, Sarah Collins realized they might have just stumbled into a case that would test their partnership like never before. Max's low growl at one of the approaching CIA agents confirmed it. This wasn't just another smuggling bust or drug seizure. They'd just stepped into a world of international espionage, state secrets, and betrayal. And from the way Max was behaving, some of those approaching to take over the case weren't necessarily on the right side of it. "Stand down, Officer Collins. This is now a federal matter." The CIA agent's voice carried the kind of authority that usually brooks no argument, but Sarah couldn't shake the tension in Max's body. Her partner hadn't relaxed since the agents arrived, and his hackles were still raised, particularly when Agent Thomas Ward approached the quantum device. "With respect, sir," Sarah maintained her professional tone, "as the discovering officer, I'd like to remain involved in the investigation." Ward's smile didn't reach his eyes. "This is well above airport police jurisdiction. We'll take it from here." But Max wasn't backing down. The Belgian Malinois positioned himself between Ward and the device, a low growl rumbling in his throat. In 6 years of service, Sarah had never seen him act this way toward law enforcement. "Control your dog, officer!" Ward snapped, his hand twitching toward his jacket. Sarah's instincts flared. Max was trained to recognize law enforcement personnel. His aggressive response meant something was deeply wrong. She clicked her radio twice, their unit's silent signal for backup. "Max, heel!" she commanded, but added their personal signal, 2 fingers tapping her belt, telling him to stay alert. He obeyed the verbal command, but kept his eyes fixed on Ward. The terminal had been evacuated, but Sarah caught movement on the upper level. The nervous security officer from earlier was back, watching the scene unfold. When he noticed her attention, he quickly disappeared down a service corridor. "Agent Ward," a new voice cut through the tension. "I believe we agreed FBI would take point on domestic soil." Sarah turned to see another federal agent approaching, Angela Martinez, FBI special agent in charge. She'd worked with Martinez during the microchip smuggling case last year. The woman's presence was a welcome sight, but Max's reaction to her was neutral, professional, yet cautious. "This is an international matter," Ward argued, producing documentation. "CIA has jurisdiction." Martinez reviewed the papers, her expression carefully neutral. "These orders are irregular, Agent Ward. Mind if I verify them?" Ward's face tightened almost imperceptibly. "We don't have time for bureaucratic delays. That device needs to be secured immediately." Sarah caught Martinez's subtle nod toward the service corridor. Taking the cue, she attached Max's lead. "I need to check his water bowl. All this excitement." "Don't leave the terminal," Ward called after her, but Sarah was already moving, following the path of the suspicious security officer. The service corridors were a maze of concrete and fluorescent lighting, but Max needed no guidance. He led her directly to a maintenance room, nose working overtime. The door was ajar, and inside papers were scattered across the floor. Someone had left in a hurry. "What have you got, boy?" Max nosed through the papers, then suddenly froze, staring at a section of wall. Sarah approached carefully, running her hands along the surface until she felt it, a slight seam that shouldn't be there. Pressing gently revealed a hidden compartment. Inside was a single USB drive and a familiar diplomatic passport. Sarah photographed everything with her phone before touching anything. The passport belonged to a Sebastian Kovac, cultural attaché to the Kazakh embassy, but the photo matched their nervous security officer. Her radio crackled. "Collins, get back here now. We've got a situation." When Sarah returned to the terminal, the scene had changed dramatically. Agent Ward was gone, and Martinez had her team securing the area. The quantum device was now under heavy FBI guard. Ward's credentials were fake, Martinez explained without preamble. "By the time we confirmed it, he'd slipped away. Your dog was right. Again." Sarah felt a chill. A CIA imposter had nearly walked away with classified technology. "The security officer is actually a Kazakh diplomat named Kovac. We found—" Gunshots interrupted her report. The terminal windows exploded inward as heavily armed figures rappelled down from the roof. Max was moving before Sarah could give the command, launching himself at the nearest attacker while she drew her weapon. "Federal agents, drop your weapons!" The firefight was brief but intense. When it ended, 2 attackers were down, 1 was in custody, and the others had vanished back up their ropes. The captured man carried no identification, but his tactical gear was military grade. "They were after this." Martinez gestured to the quantum device, "and they knew exactly when to hit us. We've got a leak." Sarah shared her discovery about Kovac and the USB drive. As FBI tech experts began analyzing it, Max's behavior changed again. He paced restlessly between the terminal's support columns, nose twitching. "He's catching something else," Sarah warned. "Something we're missing." Martinez trusted their track record. "Clear the terminal, now!" The evacuation came just in time. Hidden panels in 2 support columns popped open, revealing sophisticated listening devices. The entire terminal had been compromised. "This goes deeper than we thought," Martinez mused, watching her team bag the surveillance equipment. "How long has this operation been running? And who else is involved?" Sarah reviewed the morning's events. The diplomatic suitcase, the fake CIA agent, the Kazakh security officer, and now military-grade attackers. Every layer revealed another deception. Max suddenly barked, sharp, urgent, drawing their attention to the terminal's main doors. Through the glass, they could see emergency vehicles arriving, but Max's posture said these weren't normal first responders. "Martinez," Sarah's voice was tense. "Are you expecting more backup?" The FBI agent checked her phone. "No, and my team up top just went dark." As multiple vehicles screeched to a halt outside, Max's growl confirmed Sarah's fears. Someone was using the attack's chaos as cover for something bigger. They were about to face another assault, and this time their enemies were disguised as allies. Sarah felt the weight of the USB drive in her pocket and saw the quantum device still sitting in its foam nest. Whatever secrets these items held, multiple organizations were willing to kill for them, and somehow she and Max had become the only ones certain of who to trust. As the false emergency vehicles surrounded the terminal, a memory flashed through Sarah's mind, her first day with Max 6 years ago. Her training officer's words suddenly carried new weight. "This isn't just any K-9, Collins. Max was specially requested for Atlanta." Now, crouched behind a customs desk, with Max alertly at her side and Martinez covering their flank, Sarah finally understood why. "Collins," Martinez whispered, "your partner's acting like he knows what those devices are. Care to explain?" Before Sarah could respond, the terminal doors burst open, but instead of an assault team, a single figure entered, an elderly man in a wheelchair, pushed by what was obviously a military escort. Max's reaction was immediate and unexpected. His tail wagged once, and he whined softly, a sound of recognition. "Hold your fire," the old man called out, his voice carrying surprising authority. "Dr. James Wheeler, Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. And I believe I'm looking at Asset M217. He smiled at Max, "though you prefer to call him Max now, I suppose." Sarah kept her weapon ready. "Prove it." Wheeler nodded approvingly. "German Shepherd, 3 o'clock, he said clearly. Max immediately turned to face the right side of the terminal, assuming a perfect alert position. It was a classified command phrase, one Sarah had never heard. "Your partner," Wheeler continued, wheeling closer, "was part of Project Oracle, a classified program breeding and training dogs to detect quantum technology. Max was our star pupil until budget cuts shut us down 6 years ago." Sarah remembered the day she was assigned Max. She'd just made detective in airport operations, and suddenly she was being handed a K-9 partner with special qualifications that no one would explain. The program was ahead of its time, Wheeler sighed. "We knew quantum computing was coming, knew it would change everything from encryption to weapon systems. We needed a way to detect quantum devices that couldn't be fooled by shielding or countermeasures." "And you chose dogs?" Martinez asked, finally lowering her weapon. "Nature's perfect sensors," Wheeler smiled. "The quantum processors generate distinct vibrations and electromagnetic fields, too subtle for machines to reliably detect, but perfect for a properly trained canine nose. Max here can smell quantum technology like other dogs smell narcotics." The pieces started falling into place. Max's unusual behavior with certain electronics, his instant recognition of the device in the diplomatic bag, his aggressive reaction to the fake CIA agent who tried to steal it. "Why wasn't I told?" Sarah demanded. "Compartmentalization. The fewer people who knew about Oracle, the better. We placed our dogs strategically, ports, airports, border crossings. Then we waited." Wheeler gestured to the quantum device. "It seems our patience paid off." A sudden crash from above sent Max into alert mode. Through the terminal's glass ceiling, they could see figures moving on the roof. "Your escort isn't really DARPA, are they?" Martinez asked Wheeler, raising her weapon again. The old man's face fell. "No, they forced me to help them get inside. Their—" Machine gun fire shattered the ceiling. As glass rained down, Sarah saw Wheeler's escort drawing weapons. Max was already moving, knocking Sarah clear of the first burst of fire. "Martinez! Get Wheeler clear!" Sarah shouted, rolling behind a pillar. Max stayed with her, his training kicking in as bullets sprayed the terminal. Through her earpiece, she heard Martinez coordinating with her FBI team outside. But Sarah's attention was on Max, who was focusing intently on something through the chaos. "What is it, boy?" Max's behavior shifted to his quantum detection pattern. Even in the middle of a firefight, he'd found something. Sarah risked a glance toward Wheeler's overturned wheelchair. Next to it sat a briefcase she hadn't noticed before, identical to the one that had contained the first quantum device. "Martinez! Second device by Wheeler!" The FBI agent changed direction, diving for the briefcase as one of the fake DARPA escorts tried to reach it first. Max launched into action, taking the man down with practiced efficiency. Sarah provided covering fire as Martinez secured the second device. Through her earpiece, she heard welcome news. "FBI assault team moving in. Hold position." Wheeler, who had crawled behind a concrete barrier, called out, "There's more you need to know about why we really shut down Project Oracle." But before he could continue, smoke grenades filled the terminal. In the chaos that followed, Sarah heard Wheeler cry out. When the smoke cleared 30 seconds later, he was gone, dragged away by his escorts through a service exit. The FBI team breached the terminal, securing the area. In the aftermath, they found themselves with 2 quantum devices, a missing DARPA scientist, and more questions than answers. "Max!" Sarah knelt beside her partner, checking him for injuries. "You've been holding out on me, boy." He licked her face once, then turned to stare intently at the service door, where Wheeler had vanished. His posture wasn't just alert now, it was personal. Martinez joined them, holding up the USB drive they'd found earlier. "Tech team just cracked this. You need to see it." She paused, looking at Max. "Both of you do. It's about Project Oracle and why it was really shut down." Sarah felt Max press against her leg, their signal for shared danger. Whatever was on that drive, whatever Wheeler had been about to tell them, it was big enough to turn a simple airport security check into an international crisis. And somewhere in Max's training, in his specially engineered instincts, lay the key to understanding it all. Sarah scratched behind his ears, their private signal for trust and readiness. "Okay, Martinez, show us what you found, and then we're going to need everything you have on Project Oracle." Max's tail wagged once. Confirmation. Whatever secrets lay in his past, they were about to uncover them together, and judging by the forces aligned against them, those secrets could shake the foundations of national security itself. The FBI's mobile command center hummed with activity as Martinez plugged in the USB drive. Sarah sat beside her, Max's head resting alertly on her knee. The screens flickered to life, revealing Project Oracle's darkest secrets. "My God," Martinez breathed, scanning the documents. "They didn't shut down the program because of budget cuts." The files revealed a devastating truth. Project Oracle had been too successful. The quantum detecting dogs had discovered something that was never supposed to be found. A massive quantum computing network operating inside multiple US government facilities, installed by an unknown entity. "Look at these dates," Sarah pointed. "This network was in place before our own quantum program even started." Max suddenly lifted his head, attention fixing on one of the tactical teams entering the command center. His low growl made Sarah reach for her weapon. "Federal agents!" the team leader announced, drawing his weapon. "Everyone step away from the computers!" Martinez was faster, drawing and aiming in one smooth motion. "Badge number and verification code, now!" Instead of answering, the team opened fire. Sarah flipped the table for cover as Max launched himself at the nearest attacker, his training instantly distinguishing friend from foe. In the chaos that followed, Sarah caught glimpses of Max's incredible efficiency. Disarming one man, knocking another down, always moving, never an easy target. She and Martinez provided covering fire, trying to protect the crucial data. "Copy everything," Martinez shouted, tossing Sarah a drive. "We need to split up, meet at the fallback point." Sarah grabbed the drive and ran, Max covering her retreat. They burst out of the command center into the pre-dawn darkness of the airport's maintenance area. Behind them, she could hear Martinez engaging the attackers, buying them time. "Find it, Max," Sarah commanded. "Find the source." Max understood immediately, nose working the air. If there was a quantum network hidden in the airport, he could track it. They moved through service corridors and maintenance tunnels, going deeper into the airport's restricted areas. Suddenly, Max stopped, pouring at a wall marked "High Voltage, Restricted Access." Sarah found the hidden seam and pressed. The wall slid aside, revealing a secret elevator. "Good boy," she whispered, but Max's response worried her. He sneezed repeatedly, shaking his head. Something was affecting him. The elevator descended 3 levels below any official airport blueprints. When the doors opened, Sarah understood Max's distress. They'd found the quantum lab, but the air itself seemed to hum with invisible energy. Max pressed forward despite obvious discomfort, leading her through rows of sophisticated equipment. The lab was immediately recognizable from the Project Oracle files. This was one of the hidden nodes they were never supposed to find. "Easy, boy," Sarah murmured, noticing Max's increasing agitation. His training warred with the clear physical effects of whatever quantum radiation filled this space. A familiar voice echoed through the lab. "Impressive. He's still functioning despite the quantum field effects." Dr. Wheeler rolled out from behind a bank of servers, but his frail appearance was gone. He sat straight and confident, no longer playing the part of a kidnapping victim. "The radiation would incapacitate most dogs in minutes," he continued, almost clinically. "But M2117 was always special. We engineered him to last longer." Sarah's blood ran cold. "You're killing him." A regrettable necessity. Project Oracle was never about detecting quantum technology. It was about finding dogs capable of surviving quantum field exposure. Dogs we could use to guard and maintain these facilities. Max swayed slightly but stayed on his feet, positioning himself between Sarah and Wheeler. His loyalty outweighed his training, his programming, even his physical distress. "Why?" Sarah demanded, trying to edge them both toward the exit. "Who built this network?" "The better question," Wheeler smiled, "is when. This technology is not from our time, Officer Collins. and those of us protecting it will do anything to maintain the timeline. The implications staggered her. Future tech, planted in the past, creating a quantum network decades before it should exist. And they'd bred dogs like Max to serve as guardians, knowing the radiation would slowly kill them. Max suddenly barked, a warning. Sarah spun to see armed figures emerging from behind the servers, their weapons trained on her and Max. "Your partner has maybe an hour before the radiation damage becomes irreversible," Wheeler said calmly. "Surrender now, and we'll get him to a facility that can save him. Resist and, well," he shrugged. "You were scheduled to receive a new K-9 partner next month anyway." Sarah looked at Max, seeing the slight tremors running through his powerful frame. She thought of all their years together, all the times he'd put her safety above his own. Now it was her turn to make an impossible choice. "Max," she whispered, "disable." It was another Oracle command phrase, one she'd discovered in the files just hours ago. Max's training kicked in instantly. He launched himself at Wheeler with devastating precision, ignoring the weapons trained on him. Sarah used the chaos to dive behind a quantum server bank, drawing her backup weapon. The firefight that erupted would change everything, not just for Sarah and Max, but for anyone who thought they knew the true history of human technological advancement. And somewhere above them, Martinez was about to make a discovery that would turn even this revelation on its head. Because the quantum network wasn't just receiving information from the future, it was sending something back. The quantum lab erupted in chaos. Max, fighting through the radiation's effects, had Wheeler pinned. Sarah's cover fire kept the armed guards at bay, but she could see her partner weakening with each passing second. Her earpiece crackled. "Collins!" Martinez's voice cut through the gunfire. "The network, it's not just receiving, they're uploading something massive. Current timestamp sending them back." Sarah ducked as bullets shredded the server behind her. "What kind of timestamps? Stock market data, election results, technological breakthroughs, decades of future knowledge being fed into the past." Martinez paused. "But the radiation signatures, Sarah, it's killing him. Get Max out of there." Sarah could see it. Max's movements were becoming erratic, his legendary precision faltering, but he wouldn't retreat, wouldn't abandon her. 6 years of partnership had created something stronger than Wheeler's programming. "Your dog's loyalty is remarkable," Wheeler called out, struggling under Max's weight. "But did you ever ask yourself why he was assigned to you specifically? Your file came to us 40 years before you were born." A bullet grazed Sarah's arm. She rolled to new cover, trying to process Wheeler's words. "What are you talking about? We knew you'd be here today. Your name was in the data we received. The officer who discovered the network, but in the original timeline, you died doing it. We engineered Max specifically to save you." Max suddenly yelped in pain, the quantum radiation finally overwhelming his defenses. The sound cut through Sarah like a knife. "Max, to me!" He released Wheeler, staggering toward her position. The tremors racking his body were visible now, but his eyes never left hers. Clear, focused, devoted. Wheeler used the moment to reach for a control panel. The timeline must be preserved. The wealth and power this knowledge has generated. Do you have any idea how many fortunes, how many empires were built on this data? "Martinez!" Sarah yelled into her radio. "Tell me you copied those files." "Better!" Martinez replied. "I'm broadcasting them. Every intelligence agency, every major news outlet. The whole network is being exposed right now." Wheeler's face contorted. "No, do you realize what you've done? The paradox—" He never finished. The lab's emergency lights flashed red as reality itself seemed to shudder. Sarah felt a wave of dizziness as two sets of memories tried to occupy her mind simultaneously. "Time's fighting back," Wheeler gasped. "The changes we made, they're unraveling." Max collapsed, the quantum radiation now at lethal levels. Sarah abandoned cover, rushing to his side despite the bullets. Nothing mattered except reaching her partner. "Stay with me, boy," she whispered, cradling his head. "Stay with me." Through tears, she saw Wheeler reaching for something, a quantum device smaller than the others. "One last failsafe," he said. "If I can't preserve our timeline, I'll create a new one." But he'd forgotten something crucial about Max's training. Even near death, the dog's quantum detection instincts remained razor-sharp. As Wheeler activated the device, Max gathered his remaining strength and lunged. The device flew from Wheeler's hands, skittering across the floor. Sarah's bullet caught him before he could reach it, just as Martinez's tactical team breached the lab. "Get them out!" Martinez ordered. "The quantum cascade is reaching critical levels." Two agents lifted Max, while others covered their retreat. Sarah refused to leave his side as they raced for the elevator. Behind them, reality continued to flux and shift as 4 decades of manipulated time tried to resolve itself. They emerged into dawn's first light as the quantum lab imploded below, taking its impossible technology with it. Medical teams swarmed them immediately, rushing Max to a waiting van specially equipped for radiation exposure. Sarah held his paw during the frantic ride to the emergency veterinary center. "You did it, boy," she whispered. "You changed everything." His tail wagged weakly. Their signal for mission accomplished. Martinez met them at the clinic, her face showing the strain of processing dual timelines. "It's like waking up from a dream," she said. "The changes they made, some are sticking, others are fading, but the manipulation is over. No more quantum network, no more Project Oracle." "And Max?" Sarah couldn't keep the fear from her voice. Martinez squeezed her shoulder. "The radiation exposure was massive, but something's different. The timelines shift. Sarah, look at his charts." Sarah stared at the readings, then at her partner. The quantum radiation was being absorbed differently now, as if reality's reset had changed even that. Max's engineered resistance wasn't failing. It was adapting. "Impossible," the veterinarian muttered, checking the readings again. "The damage is repairing itself. I've never seen anything like it." Sarah laughed through her tears. Of course Max would defy the odds. He'd been doing it since the day they met, a meeting that was always meant to happen across time itself. Through the clinic window, she could see federal agents securing the area. Somewhere in the city, Wheeler's conspirators were being rounded up as 2 timelines merged into one true version. The quantum network was gone, its future knowledge no longer corrupting the past. But as Max's eyes met hers, alert and loving, despite everything they'd endured, Sarah realized some things were stronger than time itself. Partnership, loyalty, trust. "Ready for what comes next, boy?" His tail wagged once, firmly. Whatever timeline they were in, they would face it together. 3 weeks after the quantum lab's implosion, Sarah stood before the Senate Intelligence Committee, Max sitting alertly at her side. His recovery had amazed even the most optimistic specialists, as if his genetic engineering had been perfected by the timeline's reset. "Officer Collins," the committee chairman began, "please help us understand the full scope of what your investigation uncovered." Sarah took a deep breath. The merged memories of 2 timelines had finally settled, leaving her with a clear understanding of what they'd exposed. Project Oracle was a cover, she testified. The real operation, codenamed Future's Edge, began in 1982 when the first quantum transmission was received. Wheeler and his associates used that future knowledge to position themselves in key industries: technology, finance, defense. They built an empire on information that shouldn't have existed. Max's ears twitched at Wheeler's name. The man who had engineered him, who had mapped out his entire existence before Sarah was even born, now sat in a maximum security facility, his empire crumbling. "And the other Project Oracle dogs?" a senator asked. "All recovered," Sarah confirmed. Once the quantum network collapsed, the radiation effects began reversing. They've been redistributed to standard K-9 units nationwide. She reached down to scratch Max's ears. Though some partnerships were clearly meant to stay together. The hearing continued for hours. Sarah detailed how Wheeler's group had manipulated everything from stock markets to technological development, creating a carefully controlled version of the future. How they'd engineered dogs like Max, not just to detect quantum technology, but to protect their secret across decades. What she didn't share was the personal toll of the investigation. The nights at the veterinary clinic, watching Max fight through the radiation's effects. The moments when two sets of memories warred in her mind, both versions of history trying to assert themselves as truth. After the hearing, Martinez waited for them outside. "We found the last of Wheeler's quantum caches," she reported. "Homeland Security is coordinating with international agencies to ensure all future tech is contained and destroyed." "Any temporal aftershocks?" Sarah asked, remembering how reality had shuddered during those first days after the lab's destruction. "Minor ones. Some people have dual memories like us, others only remember the new timeline. The physicists say it'll stabilize completely within a month." Martinez knelt to pet Max. "How's our hero doing?" Sarah smiled. "Better than ever. The vet says his genetic modifications have actually improved. Whatever Wheeler did to him, it's now working the way it was supposed to." They walked together through the Capitol's halls, their footsteps echoing on marble. Outside, reporters waited to hear about the scandal that had rewritten modern history. The story had broken worldwide, decades of manipulation exposed, fortunes built on future knowledge now under investigation. "You know," Martinez said thoughtfully, "in the original timeline, the one Wheeler tried to preserve, you died in that lab. Max was supposed to be reassigned afterward." "I know." Sarah had seen the file. Her death had been a calculated loss, deemed necessary to maintain their secret. But they didn't count on what Max would become, what we would become together. Max's training had been meant to create the perfect quantum detection unit. Instead, it had created something Wheeler could never have engineered, a partnership strong enough to change time itself. They emerged into bright sunlight. On the Capitol steps, Max suddenly stopped, his posture shifting to alert. Sarah tensed, years of partnership letting her read his every signal. But this wasn't his quantum detection stance. This was simpler, more basic, a K-9 officer spotting someone suspicious. Sarah followed his gaze to a man trying to slip something into a tourist's bag. She smiled. After all they'd been through, after facing down time travelers and quantum conspiracies, they were still who they'd always been, a cop and her K-9 partner, protecting and serving. "Want to get back to basics, boy?" Max's tail wagged once enthusiastically. Together, they descended the steps, Martinez watching with amusement as they smoothly intercepted the would-be pickpocket. The arrest was textbook perfect. As Sarah read the suspect his rights, she felt the last echoes of temporal distortion fade from her mind. This was their reality now. No quantum networks, no future knowledge, just honest police work with the partner she was always meant to have. Later that evening, in their favorite spot in Atlanta's Piedmont Park, Sarah threw Max's favorite ball. He caught it with characteristic precision, but instead of returning it immediately, he paused, looking at her with those intelligent eyes. She knew what he was thinking. They could still sense it sometimes, quantum echoes of the timeline that almost was. But those echoes were fading, leaving behind something better, a future they would discover together, one day at a time. "Good boy, Max," she said softly, "the very best." His tail wagged twice, their signal for perfect understanding. Then he brought her the ball, ready for the next throw, the next chase, the next adventure. Somewhere in the city, federal agents were still unraveling Wheeler's conspiracy. The world was still adjusting to the knowledge that time itself had been manipulated. Fortunes were being investigated, powers were shifting, and history was slowly settling into its proper course. But here, in this moment, none of that mattered. Sarah Collins and her K-9 partner Max had done their job. They'd served justice, protected the innocent, and saved each other, across time against all odds, exactly as they were meant to. Max dropped the ball at her feet, eyes bright with unconditional trust and devotion. Sarah picked it up, smiling. The future was unwritten now, and that was exactly how it should be. She threw the ball one more time into the setting sun, watching Max race after it with pure joy. Whatever tomorrow brought, they would face it together, the cop and her quantum dog, partners in any timeline.